It's good to have you with Staff Guangzhou community here tonight. To get started, can you introduce yourself a bit? What do you do? Can you explain a bit more about your role in YY Incorporated?
Sure. Well, it's nice to be here. And my name is Clement, and I'm currently in charge of the open platform at YY, and also I'm also managing the technical team, part of the technical team at YY, in the role of CTO assistant. And prior to that, I was in Beijing and did a startup for 4 years. And part of that, I was in the States and worked for Microsoft on Xbox for the gamers out there.
Mm-hmm. And how and what age did you get started with software development?
Well, actually, I started computer science in college, and then when I worked at Microsoft, basically I was a program manager on the Xbox Live, and actually I did a little bit of programming at Microsoft, but after I really started my professional work, it has always been developing products, and mostly in the platform services space.
Right. Okay. You work on Xbox in Microsoft before you starting the company ECitySky.
Right.
Can you tell us more about that? For example, what was your role at Xbox, and how did you experience working for an American company?
Well, so for those of you who, how many of you actually played Xbox? Oh, great. Awesome. And basically, I worked on the Xbox Live team, and there are two parts of my work, I guess, within Microsoft. One part is working on the Xbox Live Vision, which is the, before the Kinect, Microsoft actually had a camera device that basically there are some services associated with it so that people can do video calls through the Xbox Live, can send video messages through Xbox, and also we have a set of services to allow games to be able to use the camera to do some gesture-based gaming. And also there's some face recognition capability to the software so that the games can actually use those services in those games as well. And I was the program manager on that. And in China, they call it 产品经理, right? So basically, it's the owner of that product and driving the design, development, testing, and release. So that product is a hardware, services, and platform project, right?
Interesting. Was this job in Xbox the ultimate job that you wanted early on, or you had any other ideas before, for your future while you're working at Xbox?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So I joined Xbox right after college. I don't know how many people actually know, very far in the future afterwards. So I was very fortunate, to have the opportunity to work on Xbox. I was offered several other opportunities, and also within Microsoft, but this seems to be the most interesting one. And as you probably know, Microsoft is prior to Xbox, is mostly in the servers and Office and Windows, and it's the first actually consumer entertainment product, right? So most of the cool people within Microsoft actually joined that product, and yeah, it's a very elite group. And then I was very fortunate, and then a lot of a lot of fun doing that product as well, right?
Okay. What advice can you give to our audience here tonight if they want to pursue a career in software development?
In software development or in startups? Well, I mean, I think basically within Microsoft or in my startups or like YY, I think technical, it's where I'm very there's a key emphasis on engineering, developing key technologies, and having core skill set in engineering. I think that's very, very important. So for those of you who are interested in being a software developer in either startups or corporations like Microsoft, I think you just have to do it on your own, right? Do projects. And then there are a lot of open source communities out there and you can participate in,
And you can learn from them.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot learn software by reading. You have to do it, right? And most of the people within Microsoft, I mean, some of the really smart people, they have never graduated from college, so they all learn stuff by themselves, right? And I think in China, I think that's also, you know, something besides graduation from high school, graduate from college, you know, I think doing projects on their own will be very important.
Okay. Yeah. Jumping from Microsoft in the US to the small startup company in China is such a great leap, at least from my point of view.
Right.
What brought you back to China?
What brought me back to China? The Olympics. No, right. I think you know, it's very clear that China is emerging, and you know, after seeing you know, what's happening in the West, I think there's a lack of startup entrepreneurs in China back when I was looking at opportunities, and then I see this growth in the Chinese economy. And there's definitely a huge demand in software, in innovations, in all kinds of different services. And so even before I actually decided to do what I was doing in my startup, I actually knew that I'm gonna have to do something back here, right? I think there's just a lot more needs that's unfilled, which is very, very key, right? To be able to have a successful startup, you be able to fill needs, right?
So what are the differences between working in a startup and a multinational company like Microsoft? What are the major differences that you experience?
Oh, that's worlds of difference. I mean, after working at a startup, you can never go back to the corporate, right? I think, you know, everybody probably know that already. I mean, doing a startup, you basically have to, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have the people, and you have no idea that which direction is actually the right direction. At a big corporation, you know, 1 out of 100 projects succeed, and then now, you know, that's a good win, good success for the big corporate. But for startups, you probably have 1 chance, 2 chance, you know, at most, if you manage your finance well, and that's very, very different. And also, you're not going to be. So one thing shocking to me is actually the quality of people. And within Microsoft, I take it for granted that people are all great. You know, they can all take responsibilities. And but in the real world, actually, when you're doing a startup, it's very, very hard to get a good team. And you know, that's something that it's probably, you know, just 1 is the finance, the opportunities to try stuff. 2 is the people. I think that's the most difference.
Your team, and how you grow your team, how you identify the right guys to get them.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes you can identify the right guys, but you know, as a startup, you know, it's very hard to attract them as well, right? So it's very difficult. Yeah. So you're gonna have to manage your growth.
What did your family think of your decisions leaving Microsoft and found your start in China? What did they think?
Well, I mean, I think they're very supportive. Yeah, you know, of course they think that it's crazy to leave a good-paying job from the States and then work non-pay and, you know, invest your money into something that is in China, right? And but you know, that's the path for me. I think that's the, you know, I think I'm just born an entrepreneur, and that's, you know, it's already kind of very natural to them, I mean, to take this risky path, and they believe in me.
Okay. ECitySky was a successful startup. Can you share your founding story of this startup, and how did you meet your co-founders?
I wouldn't call it so far as a successful startup. I mean, there's only 1 in 60,000 startups in China that can go IPO. And so that, you know, I don't even call them a huge success. I think ultimately is your vision, whether or not you can accomplish your vision. That's, and make a change. I think that's what's called a success. I think that we did something great within ECitySky, and I think that we found the right partner at the right time to merge our team into, and then now our vision is being accomplished within YY, so we have aligned vision. That's the key reason for the acquisition. So in that regard, I think there's we're lucky, and then we're on the path to be successful. And then your second question is
yeah, my second question is actually how did you meet your co-founders?
Oh, co-founders, yes. My co-founders actually are both Americans, and we went to the same school. And we actually had two co-founders from the get-go, and then there's another founding partner. Actually, it's a classmate of mine, doing a startup in Canada, and then I recruited him back from Canada to China. So we had ultimately 4 as founding partners, and these are the people I trust, and these are the people I've known for 10 years, right? So.
How did you come up with the product idea behind ECitySky? Yeah, the avatar product. Yeah.
Well, so within Microsoft, if you guys remember, there's a hype in virtual worlds. In 2000 and started from 2003 to 2009. It really started to take off in 2007 when Second Life sort of hit the news and really grew really quickly. And then everybody seems to be doing a virtual world. And but that hype actually died down really quickly. Within Microsoft, actually, I was working on the Xbox Live, which actually had a version, if you remember, later version had avatars. So when I was within Microsoft, I know that's where the Xbox Live was going. And I see the opportunity to take that experience to the web and to the mobile. And I saw that opportunity actually because there's a vibrant gaming community in China, so I think that opportunity might fit in this market, right? So that's why I did it here. But when I started ECitySky, it was really at the very beginning focused on education.
Okay.
Yeah, it's using virtual worlds to enhance education, and but that was a very difficult place to start. Back then, now there's a really a strong interest in education startup today. There are more education startups getting funded, getting started today than 2 years ago. But when I started the ECitySky, online education is still a very kind of a far-reaching idea, right?
Okay. Is there any correlation between what you learn in Xbox team and what you do in your startup of building ECitySky's product?
I think my learning within Microsoft actually contributed to my, I guess, wrong and also a heavy investment in content. And I thought that doing a platform play and platform and content together is a viable way for startups as well. But that's actually not true. So in doing startups, never do something that is A plus B equals success. It's very difficult. To do a platform, you have to build a very unique, successful, powerful platform, differentiating platform, and also you need to have very compelling content. And then those two tasks are very different, requires different skills.
Yeah.
And then, for small companies, small startup, don't do that.
And you never have the resources to build both in good enough way.
No.
Okay.
No. So that's what I say that my learnings within Microsoft actually contributed to my over-ambition when doing the startup. But a year or two afterward, into the startup, I started to realize that shifting into more content focus.
Okay. Yeah, ECitySky build product, the avatar product. Can you tell us what are the human nature that drive the users to use the avatar products?
So it's still, avatar is a personification of the user itself. And the vision behind the avatar community is that everybody can actually use the same persona and then start to participate and then play in different kind of games. But at the end of the day, that's not a very hard user demand. The real user demand in gaming is actually the gameplay, the fun. And for social purposes, for example, if you want to have a persona to persist across different games for social purposes, I think that it doesn't require you to actually use 3D. And so this is why YY succeeded, going a different path, having a similar vision. And then we kind of struggled along the way. And I guess the learning is, you're gonna have to, when doing a startup, you're gonna have to address some really, really pain point. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the room have heard about it, but I think that is really, really difficult to know whether what you're doing addresses the pain point. And for a lot of the startups, especially first-time startups, they're eager to get into the startup. They're eager to start, but they actually don't have the right idea. And most ideas fail, so it's very difficult. Very difficult, right?
What were ECitySky's competitors at the time?
Well, so we actually had a better exit. All the other competitors have failed. So all the virtual worlds products, they all had some of them, had a lot of traction. I guess, but there are so many. MetaPlace, it's founded by some really famous people. Hubble Hotel. There are so many of these startups, and there are virtual worlds in China everywhere as well. But all of them have failed. All of them. And no one is still around today. Right? I guess Second Life actually is still around, but they went into a different direction, which is more gambling and adult content driven, right? So it's very different.
Okay. Right. Completing an acquisition of your startup is quite an achievement. Tell us how that came about. How did the connection and acquisitions, by YY come together?
Right. I think that part of that is because the vision we had. That we had a vision of the future that people are going to be, the internet is going to become more real time, and that people are going to be engaging in this real time activities together online. So the vision actually is good, but the path we took is too difficult. So that vision aligned with YY's vision. That YY's vision is actually the same thing as our vision. And so that's number one. And number two, I think, it's really, I think you're going to have to build your credibility, within the community. Have credible investors and have a very good team. Back then we were a very engineering focused team. We had a lot of great people from Microsoft and Google, a lot of people with pretty much on average our engineers have over 7 to 10 years of experience on our side, and that's a core asset that we have built, and the technology we have built actually have core assets. Although we didn't achieve consumer success, but the expertise and the technology we have built actually has a lot of value. Right.
Okay. What did it take for ECitySky team to become such a good match for acquisition by YY Incorporated in terms of skills and expertise and market positions?
I think it's all about the people, right? I think it's all about the people, and at the end of the day, the decisions are going to be made by the board, and the board is consists of several people, and having a personal credibility with the founding team, with the company is actually incredibly important. And and also I think the team has to be stable. Our core team, even today, at the time of acquisition, I think we had about 40-some people, and more than half still is working. Basically, we merged the whole company into YY.
Okay.
And Some of the gaming team, of course, they don't find it fit into YY, but most of the platform team is still there, right?
You mean the core members of ECitySky still remain?
Oh yeah,
inside?
yeah. And then these members have been around with the company for 4 years, so they basically was recruited and then believed in the vision and then basically executed on it all along the way. I think that's very, very important.
Excellent. What is similar about these products that makes them popular? And is there something, what are the patterns or what are the kind of product that you personally like to work on? Did you see the pattern there?
I think, for entrepreneurs, I think the key thing is to be able to address consumer needs or business needs. Being able to match your passion together with that need is better. But the prerequisite is having identified a pain point, a consumer need, a strong consumer need. It's not a want, it's a need. I mean, you're gonna have to separate the want from the need. You need food, you want a burger, right? So it's basically very, very different. And then I think doing a startup, you're gonna have to address the needs. And then, I think there's a lot of opportunities still in the consumer space. I like the consumer space, and yeah. So I guess that's the general internet, of course.
Okay, your career has been largely in the gaming space. Are you a gamer yourself? What are the games you're playing now?
Right. I mean, I'm too busy to play games, to be honest. I wish I had more time to play games. I play console games, and although I've been in the gaming space, but mostly on the platform side, right? Just working with game developers. And even today, within YY, I'm still working with the top game developers.
Okay.
Right.
What are the psychologies about game players that you think that are must know for the developers and designers that work for you?
I think that knowing why gamers pay virtual goods, really understanding why users pay virtual goods in gaming, I think it's very important, right? And then the users who are paying in these MMO games in China are very, very different from the people who play and pay these games in the States.
Okay.
And really know who they are, why they pay, and then understand why some people would pay, hundreds of thousands of RMB in a game.
Yeah.
The whales, so to speak. I think really understand that. I think it's very key. Besides that, I think that the gaming business is actually very different. There are different plays. There are people who have the channel play, identify a genre, and then they have a very strong channel. But I personally admire and like people who have content vision. They're trying to build a content, build a game like they're building a movie. They're telling a story. I like those kind of developers. But the kind of developers who can match their personal vision of content and then also put in the monetization for the Chinese consumers. I think that match is very difficult to find in China. But I personally like content that basically have more depth.
Okay.
And then I think that it's going that way. At the very beginning, a lot of Chinese gamers, they don't have a lot of options. They will play anything that is in their way. But today, I think that they have more options and more premium content start to come out. I think they're going to become more picky, and then they're going to be looking for content that basically takes innovation, are creative, right? Really addresses the fun factor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There are many motivations among the gamers that drive them to pay for the games. What are those motivations that are special for Chinese gamers that you haven't seen much in other part of the world?
I think the behaviors is probably similar, but it's just driving to the extreme over here. I think gaining this self-esteem and show off. I think that actually is a very, very key driver for paying. And that's probably the ultimate. And then, you know, feel like a king, you know. And in the real world, you know, you might be nobody. You just have a lot of money, and you don't have the recognition. You don't have the esteem, and then have basically thousands of people following you, having the power to, you know, to kill someone, have the power to destruct, you know. And then in the virtual world, they basically gain that power, and then that kind of you know, satisfaction, you know, psychological satisfaction is actually very key. You know, in the way you design your games.
Okay. How do you get started when you want to develop a new game? What are the general steps or thought processes you go through?
I think you're gonna have to be a gamer. I think that's number one, right? And then develop a game that you basically are passionate about, right? And then don't build games to make money. Well, you have to build games to make money, but you know, really, you're gonna have to love games to be able to build games. Okay. And then when I realized that, I started, you know, I myself are not, you know, the hardcore gamers. I'm not the type of players who are paying MMO games. I think it's sometimes it's very difficult for you to be able to design great games. You know, Mr. Shi Zhu, right? Yeah. When he started to build games, he immersed himself in games and really understand the behaviors, right? At the end of the day, it's bringing this real world desire and needs into the virtual world, and then
satisfy them.
And then, you know, satisfy this group of people that don't have the way of being satisfied outside.
Okay. Any recommended reading for or books for the game developers, or it's just a matter of playing lots of games?
I think playing and thinking. You know, not all gamers will become good designers, right? So I think that you know, these great game designers is they really understand human. They understand human drives, understand human desires, and that they're able to design gameplays according to address those needs, right?
Game development has been traditionally perceived as a high-pressure job. Do you have a story to tell about how to getting things done under the tight deadline?
You mean like work overtime?
Yeah, it could be one of them.
Right. I think you know, you gotta have to get a group of people who love to do that stuff, right? So they're just passionate about what they do, and you know, when I was running ECitySky at the very beginning, our team is all about platform, and then when in 2010. When we switched to actually start building content on our platform, you know, it's actually a very hard switch. Okay. So we ended up actually having to acquire a small gaming studio, and then those are the type of people that basically are driven. You know, they love games, and then they have similar beliefs and vision, and then they basically will build games. You know, I mean, that's their whole career, and then they, you know, think that it's fun to actually work on a game. I think then time is no longer an issue there. You gotta have to find a team that are passionate about what they do. Otherwise, you know, for startups, you know, you can't win.
Okay. Yeah. I've been fascinated about the difference between building application and a platform. What is your view on the difference between building an app and a platform, a service platform?
I think the platform just happened to be a platform. You cannot actually build a platform from the get-go. For example, you know, if Microsoft doesn't have the content, the Microsoft box actually is not a very successful platform, right? So you basically have to, I mean, for consumer internet, you basically have to start with addressing a need, and that need is not a platform. You know, it might, you know, you might call it an app, but I think the key is developing services or content that is addressing a need. And then if you're lucky, that gain traction, and then after, you know, it gain traction, it might actually develop into an ecosystem. Once you have the ecosystem, then you actually might become a platform. And just think about what's out there, right? So today, you can probably name Tencent is one platform, Weibo is one platform, and the YY, I think, is a new type of platform, and that's it. Even Renren, Kaixin, these are all not platforms. Of course, I mean, Taobao is a good platform, but they're, I think, getting, you might have a platform vision, but I think that, you're gonna have to start with addressing the need, and then if you're lucky enough, that once that need, the attraction, have enough mass appeal, then it became a platform. So don't do platforms
as a start. Okay.
That you should have a platform vision, but don't do platforms.
Okay. So what is the role of a service platform for an internet scale gaming product such as YY?
YY didn't start with a platform. YY started by addressing the gamer's need. When gamers play MMO games, they basically cannot type fast enough. So being able to communicate with the other gamers in voice is a core, hard need. If they don't use voice to communicate with their team members, they lose. And having a better product to provide consistent and better quality services in voice communication within a small group is the core need. So YY started with that and then grew virally because when you and I are playing against another group, and the other group see the disadvantage and they get everybody else onto YY as well, right? And then when I recruit a new team member, I need that person to actually use YY as well. So he started from addressing the need. And then, at the very beginning, nobody knew that it could become, a 400 million registered user platform or a 10 million PCU platform. Nobody knew. They thought it's a 300,000 PCU peak, and they're very lucky because when the community, the gaming space continued to grow, and also the community formed because people play with their friends. So the community formed, and then there are also other type of real-time voice content being developed emerged within the platform. And then from gaming, there's entertainment, karaoke, live shows, and now education. Now it's becoming a platform. So I think this is probably a good example to what I just said. It's you're gonna have to develop from a need, and then back in 2008, I don't think they had the vision of the YY today.
Okay. So it looks like the real-time aspect of the voice processing is the key for such a platform. Is that correct?
Today it is. Yes. Today, after getting to this scale, and then having this core technology of providing real-time and stable voice and video to a large group of people, I think that becomes a very good service platform, right?
Okay. Last November, 2012, November, YY Incorporated was the first Chinese company to go public in the US for half a year. That's another great accomplishment. What does it feel like to be part of a public listed company in the US stock market?
Nothing different. So I think, seriously, I think the vision for the company is still to grow and then to really accomplish the real-time engagement. And within the company, the IPO is just a milestone. We had a dinner and we had a celebration with the investors, but that's about it. And then so everybody get a raccoon souvenir, and that's about it. Everybody have to go back to work. I mean, but it's very lucky. I mean, especially to me, to have experienced the whole process. Being on the roadshow, meeting investors, and then pitching the idea and seeing the response from the global investors. I think that's a good experience for me. And but at the end of the day, I think IPO is just a one step towards success. It's not the success. I mean, over 60% of the IPO company, there are 40 in China. 60% of them are underwater, meaning that they are below their IPO price.
Oh.
And two companies, Baidu and Tencent, their valuation together is 70% of the total IPO companies' valuation added together. So, for us, it's still a very hard battle to keep growing, and then keep accomplishing our vision. So, when I say nothing, it's really, I think, it's just a milestone.
Okay. How did the weight or how did the responsibility of your day-to-day work change over time from being a CEO of a startup like ECitySky to your current position today?
The main difference is I don't have to worry about a lot of the other crap that I don't care about. And then really focus on building businesses, building products. When you're a CEO in a company, you're going to have to deal with a lot of stuff that you wish you didn't have to spend time on. And I don't think I need to go in details with that, but I think all of you guys know. Right now I'm glad that I can just focus on building products and building services, and that's what I love.
Great. Tell us about your take on China's gaming market as it is now. For example, what are the major genres of online social games here in the Chinese market?
I think gaming is still going to be a viable business model. The MMO space has slowed down for sure because the overall PC market is actually slowing down. And the web game market is still accelerating in terms of growth. It's not as fast as 2008, 2009, 2010, and slowed down a little bit, but still a lot faster growth than MMO. But the overall gaming market is slowing. And the mobile gaming market is actually one space that is emerging. And there are more companies being able to make a reasonable revenue on mobiles today. And I think this year is going to be a key inflection point, I think. Because up until 2012, there are about 200 million smartphones in China. And then by the end of this year, there are going to be more than 500 million smartphones in China. So I think that when you start to reach that scale, there are a lot more people that have never been able to play a game on PC. So they don't even have access to computers. So I think entertainment become another emerging hot area starting from this year. I think in the next couple of years, I think it's going to be better and better. But this place is also very, competition is very fierce. And then, being able to address the right audience, and then I think it's very key. And also, I think the infrastructure is getting better. Payment infrastructure is getting better and better. I think that's also going to help the acceleration in the mobile gaming space. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think also there is still opportunity for Chinese companies to build global games, to build games that are addressing the global market. That's still the case.
Okay. So, what are the most valuable, game categories in China? That the kind of games that make the most money.
Well, if I know, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, seriously. It's a very hot space, and then most of the companies, they have the development capabilities to be able to build games really quite quickly. Because games, today, the successful mobile games today still doesn't require that many resources to build. Okay, so it's very, very easy to replicate. So if you have a good and money-making product, just hide it today until it grows to a certain size. And otherwise, you get copied in a week, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm not going to tell you.
So given that fact, what do you think are the opportunity for the new gaming startups if they're going to enter China's gaming industry? For example, what particular categories that you recommend me to enter if I'm going to build a game company tomorrow?
I think, I'm not an expert. I mean, I don't have success in this area. So, but just broadly speaking, I think the mobile gaming space is quite interesting.
Okay.
And I think there are opportunities there just because the sheer number of smartphones and then the reach. And then at the end of the day, you need to know who are really playing your game and then build games for them, right? I think the type of engagement that succeeded online, like on PC, is probably going to carry over to mobile. But you gotta have to, in terms of game design and the user experience, you're gonna have to build it really tailored for the mobile, right? And especially you're gonna have to, especially now, you have to be aware of the bandwidth consumption, right?
Yeah.
Connected to the PC, you don't have to worry about that. Over here, there's battery issue, there's screen size issue, there's bandwidth issue. So you're gonna have to design games that are suitable for today's market. But 2 years from now, that might be different, completely different. So this is it's shifting very, very quickly. And then you need to be able to catch this opportunity like right now, or you have to, try to target an opportunity that is 2 years from now. You start to really build towards when the market hits that inflection point in a year or two, and then have a differentiating content that is so different, so hard to copy, so that you will be able to have a big win back, when that opportunity comes. So, yeah.
Is there the trend that the idea of making a game is kind of merging into other categories of software products that are previously there is no game element in it, but did you see such a channel?
Oh, you mean gamification?
Yeah, gamification of everything, any areas that are not previously.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about it. I mean, to me, right now, it's a buzzword. I think that you want to develop any application to have an engaging experience, to have a good experience, and then have retention. So, in building games and operating games, you really care about retentions and all the analytics. I think having that mentality when building software is good. But is that called gamification? I don't know, right? But I think it's just the same good method, to know who's using your product, who stayed, and how to keep them there.
Yeah.
Right.
Fine. And probably final two questions. Tell us about your thoughts on the future of China's gaming industry.
Wow.
Down to 3 years.
I think that, it's similar to what I said. I mean, it's basically, I think mobile is going to be big. I think these big trends everybody can see, right? Like MMO gaming is probably, not going to die, but it's not going to grow that fast. I think mobile is one big growth area. Mobile gaming is one big growth area, right?
Okay. What about the blending of from online to offline actions of the users? Blending the real and real world actions of the user and the virtual actions. Is there a trend there?
I don't know. I think you're talking about this type of scavenger hunt that it has the a gaming element on the mobile, and also there's a real world element that is tied to location, right? I think there might be something there. There might be something there, but I think at least I think that might be one type of game, right? But I think still, the reason people play games is they need entertainment, right? Especially in China, right? They need entertainment. They have a lack of entertainment, or they have this kind of this fragmented very time during the day, so that they can play something, And then these are, I guess, the core opportunities for you to address their entertainment needs. Location, might play a part in there, but I'm not sure how major that's going to be. Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's all the questions I had to ask tonight. And so, thank you very much for your time. And then I think it's time for for our audience to take some questions from the audience.
Okay, I'd be glad.
The gentleman over there.
So you talk a lot about the gaming industries here, and then a lot of other like startups doesn't have to, start with gaming, of course, the idea. So I pretty much want to ask you questions. When you actually think of, not exactly you, but everybody should try to start up. Do you need to have a unique ideas that's different from everybody's currently doing? Because when I actually look at the products that I'm trying to build, when I search, I find somebody already have these ideas and bring pretty good products as well. So as you see, I mean, when you enter the game platform industry, some other companies are already doing it. How do we determine whether we should still go into this area or we should start something new, something unique?
I think that's a very complicated process to decide what to do. I think that's a very complicated process. And you might see an opportunity, there may or may not have any products in that space. But that doesn't mean you have the opportunity there, right? Some of the opportunity just doesn't belong to you because they are existing, big monopolies in those areas, and it's very easy for them to move. It's like a feature improvement to their core, and then for those kind of space, you have to stay out, and that's a very complicated question. I think that's why most startups fail. Unfortunately, that's why most startups fail, because you might have a unique idea, and then that might not actually have a big enough scale to address user needs. You might have a good idea, but actually bump into a big company that actually going to invest a lot of resources in those areas. You might actually invent something new that it's just a feature to something else, that they see that good idea and copied it the next day. So, while you're looking at all of these competitive environment and products, and then deciding what you're going to do, I think you're going to have to look 5 years out. You're going to have to look, really look 5 years out. Like paint a picture in the area of your interest 5 years from today. If you're interested in, for example, in developing photo software, just think about anything around photo software, sharing, editing, 5 years out, what it's going to be like. Okay, and then just think about that. Who are going to be winning in those spaces? What are the core competencies that you need to have to win that game? And then sometimes through that process, you might discover some areas where, oh, it's so new, so unique, and then you can develop something that is different, that is core. At the core, is very different from the others. That will grow into the ecosystem that will give you the competitive edge 5 years down the road. So look 5 years down the road. Think about 3 years. So your product needs to hit, the market you're addressing needs to hit a growth inflection point in 3 years. And, but at the same time, think about 1 year and then really execute well in 1 year. In 1 year, you have to prove your product. Meaning that product needs to have to gain certain traction that is going in the right direction that you have envisioned. And this is the only startups that can align all of these things will be able to remain alive after a few years. And that's a very difficult thing because that requires vision, that requires understanding the market, and that requires understanding yourself, like what you are capable of, and then also the team you can build. So that's why that's what makes a startup so difficult. Unfortunately, that's what it is. In China, You know, in the States, you can build a startup with a good engineering team. The likelihood of getting acquired is a lot more, at least today. You know, over here, it's just, you know, the competition is still much more fierce. I don't know if I addressed your question, but.
Well, pretty much.
Okay. Next question.
You know, you talk about you always have this entrepreneurial spirit, and you know, you joined Microsoft and you've gone through all that, and everything you talked about right now, like your style of talking, and it seems you're very seasoned, right, and whatever you're doing. So if you were to decide that, like, damn, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to do another startup, how would you go about it tomorrow? If you were to decide to do something else?
Like you have already started a startup.
No, no,
you want to do something else.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to, you know, do another startup tomorrow, how would you go about it?
It will take a year or two. Yeah. So, seriously, basically, I think that now I know how difficult it is, right? And then every startup endeavor is going to be another 5 to 7 years. So that's a heavy investment, right? You're going to sacrifice your. I don't know about you guys, and you know how many of you are actually running a startup today? Okay, so there are, I guess, a lot of people are aspiring entrepreneurs, and this might be scary to you, but this is the truth. I mean, you're going to put everything you have into it, you know, and then your money, your health, your family are going to sacrifice at the end of the day. You know, I have a 2-year-old daughter, you know, but when my you know wife delivered the kid, I wasn't there, right? And then you know it's just very difficult, right? Because you have a company to run, and then there are things that that basically you're going to have to be really careful in your decision. And I don't know if I heard this somewhere else, but you know somehow it became part of my idea. That I think that 80% of your success is basically is from your choice. You basically choosing what to do is 80% of your success. Unfortunately, it is. And then knowing what to do is 80% of your success. So choose carefully.
Next question. Gentlemen,
Hey, I know you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. We meet on Startup Weekend last year, and you are the judge, and we are the champion.
Right.
We got the idea then, but we have the product now.
Right.
It's named Snap Voice, a photo sharing app. My question: suppose you start a startup in China, but your potential market is in the United States. What will you do to promote the product? It's the problem we have right now.
Okay, I think it's a very executional stuff, and then you know there are probably many ways to go about it. But at the very beginning, I would say, don't you know at the very beginning to verify that your product you know strikes a chord with the user need. You don't need that many users. Right? You can very easily basically talk to a blogger, you know, get a PR article out there, and you'll be able to get, you know, or get on the forum or something. You know, you will be able to get some test users and really know, you know, that your product actually has the potential to grow. You know, I will be really cautious to build a product that requires a lot of marketing. You know, I think that the internet consumer product is very, very important to be able to drive word of mouth. You should be able to grow by itself.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm assuming that you're doing applications are different from doing other stuff. But I think that just don't really worry. But of course, I mean, so this is you know, of course, sometimes you face the challenge of raising money. Right, you need traction and to be able to show, quickly to be able to show that, oh, you know what, I have this adoption, and then to get investment, right? I think that even if that's the case, you have to know that's the case. So you need to have two plans. One plan is to fundraise. You know, okay, I need to do this to fundraise. But the other thing, you still have to be able to track, like really what you're doing. You know, because once you raise the money, then the pressure is on you. Because you have, you want to basically continue to promote it, and then if you fake the growth, you want to actually use money to continue to fake it. And then that just gives you more pressure, right? At the end of the day, you're not going to succeed because remember, 80% of the chance, 80% of the success is at the very beginning. So, if you have money, and then slow down, and then really validate your idea, and then find the right idea and grow, right? YY raised close to $100 million US dollars, but it only used $4 million, meaning that it became a cash flow positive after $4 million. That's great leverage. It doesn't need that money, that much money. And on the other side, a lot of the startups that basically at the very early on raised a lot of money, they basically didn't really see the true potential of their product and their offering. And then because they just put money into it and want to fake, the growth, and then to attract more funding, more funding, more funding. Success in funding doesn't mean you have a successful startup. So you're gonna have to really understand, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
By the way, if anyone interested about our product, welcome to talk to me later.
And I see, that's a good way.
Next question.
That's okay, I'll just yell. So having worked in the States and then coming to China to work, obviously there are cultural differences. How do you deal with those challenges?
How do I deal with the challenges? I think it's better for me than for my partners, right? And then they are pure American. They have never been to China before the startup. I basically dragged them over here. You wouldn't believe, I have to talk to their parents. I have to talk to their parents because to them, their parents think China is still a communist country. And then the 2008 Olympics helped. That actually showed me, seriously, that, oh, you're in a country that is not, anyways, but so I think that it's very difficult. I think really, if you are trying to build a startup to address a community or a user base, you don't have a deep understanding of, that's very difficult. And but there are still ways, okay? I think that you just don't build communities. You're not going to get it right. Or your community is going to be niche. That's only going to be, part of what you think. And because, you cannot really relate. Even I cannot relate, right? I'm not a typical internet user. None of us probably are a typical internet user. They're not going to be able to understand English that we're speaking of. And yet, I think that there are opportunities if you are trying to really build up products for China to build utilities, tools that doesn't have the cultural element to it. iPhone, it's a great tool. People love it, but of course they're running a completely set of different software in China versus elsewhere. So the services and content are localized, but some of the tools are international. So build these applications that doesn't require local services. I think that's one way. And then I think there's a huge opportunity for leveraging the Chinese developer pool to developing services for the world. I think that's the way to leverage your opportunity or your strength. And I think that more and more startups are going to start to do that in China. A lot of Israeli companies, Estonian companies, East European companies, they also don't speak English. But because their countries are so small, they just from the get-go they're targeting the global market. I think why not? In China, just target the global market.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you very much, Clement, for sharing your experience. You talk about understanding customer pain, and you talk about developing technology, your core technology, your passion, your vision. I'd like to know, how did you protect your intellectual property in China? And how did you motivate your staff, your employees, so that they don't leave and take away the core technology to your competitors?
I think, you know, at the very beginning, you're not going to have very, very key intellectual property. You know, at the end of the day, that's what it is. You know, if you're worried about, you know, your game code being copied by somebody else, or some of your employees, and then run a copy, just changing the UI or something, you know, that doesn't prevent you from being successful. I think at the startup, you know, just focus on your own success. I think the other stuff is distractions. But when you get to a certain size, imagine there are companies, okay, there are companies that are small and then having a core engineering team that are developing something unique. You know, for example, this IntoCell, this company just got acquired by Cisco for over, you know, close to $500 million. They're Israeli companies that are basically developing self-organizing networks. You know, they have core technology, you know, and with very few people. So I think in that case, I haven't seen a startup like that in China, unfortunately. But I think if that's the case, then do whatever necessary. You know, yeah, and to basically make sure that the code is actually, you know, there might be, you know, very tight, strong checking controls, you know, and making sure having logs of your SVN, you know, knowing like what happened. You know, I think but it's really hard to protect against your own people. You know, so hire people you trust and hire good people. I think, yeah, that's probably, it's hard, you know. But for most companies, you have to worry about it. Right.
Next question.
From what I read about YYU, I think online education is another focus for you in the next few years. So what do you think the difference is between online education and online gamer communication or online gaming? What's the major obstacle for online education to replicate the success of online gaming?
Okay, so are you talking about YY or are you talking about online education in general?
Online education, because I think starting the ECitySky, you also want to focus on online education.
Right. Well, I think if you really understand, you know, online education is actually a very huge, diverse space. I mean, you know, you can teach all kinds of stuff online, right? So you still have to be able to address the core needs of your users. You know, they are the successful enterprises on YY education today. They really understand the stuff the users. You know, you probably wouldn't believe that the most successful, one of the most successful, I guess, channel, they call it a channel on YY, is teaching software, and then teaching Photoshop, teaching other software, and to whom, yes, these are the people who actually need this training to get a real-world job in a printer shop, you know, in a local store. So these are the hard needs that they need to survive. Okay? So identify the areas where you are teaching the skills that you most need will definitely drive your success. And then especially YY has a large user base, and then you know, this will give you opportunity. But you know, if you are teaching French, you know, teaching cooking, you know, like, you know, this culinary course or something, that might not be the right audience, right? So you know, it's very different. So it's a content business, right? It's a content business. So you have to know like what your audience want to learn, and for what reasons.
Next question.
co-founders, and then eventually the other two came along. How did you decide about equity and all that? How you...
Okay, right. So this is a very common question. I think there are several key ideas. One is you gotta have to be able to look eye to eye, and then talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each other. And then each person in your co-founding team has to be able to take responsibility in certain areas. And I prefer to have one major founder, and then some kind of co-founders that are taking less equity. So there's like one leader, and there's a founding team. I prefer that organization. But there are also successful startups probably do with other form of organization. But the key is once you know what one person is going to be really taking care of, what really responsible for, then you know how important that person is, and then give adequate equity, to basically let that person carry the weight. Oh, I think that my early investors, my early co-founders, didn't have anything. But if you need documents to formulate, but of course, as founders, you need those. If you want to basically put things in writing, but most important, a lot of the stuff failure because is the investors doing that along. A lot of the failure. So picking the core team is actually very important. And then being able to find a founding team new, like if someone you have just known for like a year or so, that's just very rare. Very rare. I mean, you want the other person to have some kind of credibility and track record, right? And it's very important, very important.
Yeah. And final question. Yes, final question.
Clement, you talked a lot about the gaming industry. We previously also talked a little about the startup ecosystem in China. 5 years ago it was completely different. What do you expect to happen in the next 5 to 10 years in China in that area?
Oh, it's definitely going to get better and better and better. I think there are several reasons for that. One is I think the funding situation is going to get a lot better. Right now, it's actually there's a lot of money, and then it's easy to actually get seed money, even Series A, but getting Series B is very difficult because there are so many funds, so much money, and then it's difficult for them to find the right idea, the right team. So they just just invest in a lot of it, right? And to see which one actually may stick around. And then, but very few can. So that's why there's a very few Series B. I think that the investors are getting smarter, and I think entrepreneurs are getting better. There are a lot more failed entrepreneurs that are starting again. I think this failure experience is actually very important. And there are also some very seasoned investors, some very seasoned entrepreneurs that are starting again. And I think that's also a very promising for the funding, for the investors. So this ecosystem is gonna get better and better. And also I think the acquisitions are gonna get a lot more going forward. I think before people have the mentality it's better to copy a product than to acquire a company. But I think that's shifting now because people start to see the value in having a very core team to really drive the product to success. Just simply copying something doesn't quite work. So I think the acquisitions are going to get more, and that's a good story. That's a very good news for entrepreneurs. And but that also means more competition, right? And so you know. But I think overall it's better. Getting more mature is better.
But are there also some cultural elements that are changed in the start to attract people more towards starting startups?
Yeah, I think Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou, this group. I think there are more and more people, wanting to do startup. And this is great. I think this is great because at the end of the day, I talk to my friends. I think they're, if you work in a corporate, you can never actually, in China, unfortunately, you can never sustain yourself, right? The only way to actually just seriously, I mean realistically, but the only way to be able to sustain yourself is to either be in the investment, let money make money, or to have big leverage, which is actually to do startups, right? That you couple years, couple $1 million can grow into a big enterprise. I think these are the only ways that can, for the entrepreneur people, I think it's a good news, right? But unfortunately, not everybody fit to be an entrepreneur, and then also the success rate is so low. But acquisitions are getting better and better, so there are more and more people who are going to be better off, than before. So I think it's better.
So, thank you.
So thank you, Clement, and on behalf of the staff Guangzhou team, I offer you this thanks, and also thank you for Catherine for translation, and our excellent team, Carol, Ade, and Sony for everything you did for. And also thank our Guangzhou, staff Guangzhou community for coming. And on behalf of our organizing team, I would like to send you a gift.
Thank you.
It's a fine bottle of wine.
Oh, nice! I like it. I like wines. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And following this fire-chat conversation, we will have, as usual, we will have our free socializing session. So you're free to move around to get to know each other and make friends.